Thank you all for joining the first session of Coffee Table Chat, which is brought to you by Kelly OCG. With our extensive clients in the industry around the region, we thought we'll do some kind of an interesting session where we would let you know how do we feel and what our guests feel about this entire COVID. So let's say COVID, pre-COVID, currently during when the COVID is on, and the post-COVID era. So we just thought the sessions could be very interesting for all of you to see and also to make and gain share what each HR experts, or I call them gurus, what they feel about this session. So my name is Francis Padmaran. I'm with Kelly OCG, and I have today with us Ganesh. Ganesh is the senior and the global head HR with Emeritus. So I'm happy to, Ganesh, welcome you. Thank you, Ganesh, for joining the session. And as we agreed, the topic for today is back to office. In fact, we could call it back to office version 1.0. So I think we all have heard about COVID and lockdown in various numbers and phases. So let's say, what does back to office looks like, Ganesh? Thank you, Ganesh, for joining us. Really appreciate.
Thank you, Francis. Thanks. It's a pleasure always speaking to you. And of course, it's a very exciting topic to be speaking about because I think most organizations across the globe, with exception to no region, is actually going through what we're talking about. So obviously, it's a learning phase for most of us, and some of these are varied experiences as well. So thank you for hosting me, and very kind of you.
No, so and let me do this, Ganesh. I would be fortunate to give an introduction to you because I could rightly say that I would be one of those who know you as good as one of your friends who would know you better. But yes, for me, friends, Ganesh come with a lot of experience in HR. I've very rarely seen a person who brings a great HR content, and I call the syllabus, also somebody who is very close to business. So I have worked with you, Ganesh, in some various outfits. But yeah, for me, Ganesh, you bring a lot of experience on the financial domain. You work with some big logos and brands out there. You've been very hands-on on the various gamut of HR. And again, as I said, for me, the way you keep HR close to your sleeves and heart, that adds a lot of value to what you add into any organization. And I'm so happy that you are at an existing phase of your career as well these days, because you with a startup, I think it's the first most I would say used terminology in the corporate world today. People either want to be with startup or want to have a startup. So I'm happy that you with a startup, and what more to be with a startup, which is an education tech. So I'm sure with Emeritus, your knowledge and your in-depth wider role across the region would definitely add a lot of value. So thank you, Ganesh. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Happy to have you. So, okay, let me not take too much of time, Ganesh. I think the entire content of today's discussion is back to Office 1.0. So I think, yes, COVID has played various role. My first question to you would be, Ganesh, just to understand, I know 2020, or to what I understand and what I know you as well personally, you've been a traveler, you've been traveling across the region, across the globe for your office, for your work, and also your interest when it comes to travel, food, culture, which brings a lot of value. So with all of that, and then we have a phase where it's been close to 4 month plus, I must say, that we all are working from home. So as a individual, as a senior expert or the executive team, Ganesh, with your organization, how do you plan this back to office? I mean, my question here is it mandatory for you to bring all these people back at work, or what you planning, what you're thinking, what's going in your mind? If you could share some bit of knowledge there, Ganesh. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So thanks, Francis. So, but one of the first things I think is that we've been an organization that is either fortunate or unfortunate to have literally followed the spread of COVID. We started off, we have an office in China, so we started off in January tackling the crisis there, when we actually had to ship masks from India to China when there were shortages of masks there. And then it moved to Singapore, we had to ship masks to Singapore from here. And then it moved to US, Mexico, all of which places we actually have our offices and our team members there. So we could say that we were the first to learn in terms of how to tackle the virus, the pandemic, and how it affects work. But more importantly, I think we are starting to learn how to tackle coming back to office as well. China, more or less, had started returning to office somewhere around late May, and I think we've been fortunate enough to have picked up the learnings from China and put it up into practice in various places across the globe. I think the key is this, right? So key is making return to work a very individualized plan, right? Everyone has a different need. Everyone is going through a very different phase in life, though it's common in terms of the pandemic. I think it's important as an organization that we actually make one uh, employee or team member safety our topmost priority. We've been reiterating this for the past 6 or 7 odd months. Every call, every town hall, every mail that has gone out from the desk of the CEO or from HR has actually reiterated that there's nothing else, not even revenue, not profits, not even anything to do with investors, all of which are extremely important to us. But the safety and security of team members that's important, and that has instilled immense confidence. I think that's the first start in when you think about returning to office or making people comfortable working where they are. And I think that's given us rich dividends, right? And there are multiple ways you can do it actually, apart from just the mailers and communication, which is I think the central screw of the whole machine. But I think starting to plan in advance, think about things like telemedicine, insurance, being nimble on feet in terms of putting in counseling sessions for people, I mean, we had a optional program called managing virtual teams for managers at some point of time, but I think this is now becoming a mandatory session. So making managers sensitive to how people are working from home, how they should be coming back to office, and saying that it's either optional, and optional not from the manager's point of view, but from the person or the team member or the employee's point of view that is there. I think that's the important thing. And all of this actually started off from our China example, right? We started off doing surveys to check, weekly surveys on our mobile app to check how people are comfortable being at home, how people are comfortable coming back to office, what would they want when they come back to office. Doing the staggered way, putting the infra in place, ensuring social distancing. All of this came from our China office, and we were very thankful for and we're appreciative of our team members in China who actually taught us this literally, right? So, and then we did it in Singapore as well. So I think that's important. I think we've got to put the team member first, make his or her um, uh, comeback or the return to office plan individualized as possible. It's not that you're a part of this group and therefore this group works together. It makes it as optional as possible, making it absolutely sure and giving the confidence to the person that we are with you and your decision is what matters and not the organization decision.
No, I think interesting, Ganesh. I think you rightly nailed what I hear from the conversation. It's a very classic combination of touch and technology. I think you said that we're making it individualized. We're making a lot of technology. I hear a lot of app. I hear a lot of HR counseling. So some amazing measures. So thank you, Ganesh. I think thank you. And in this, I mean, in fact, I know one of my thoughts which was running while I was listening to you is that considering this regional and global role what you cater to with Emeritus, these practices, I'm sure they are different to each location and country, because I'm sure, as you said, you literally looks like followed the virus starting from China and spreading it all across to the globe. So I'm sure, is there anything on the practice side, considering I'm just going to wear the global hat of yours for a second, something which you felt was common or unique? I would say either something where you felt that, uh, where from a people point of view, where you felt something which was literally common across the countries, where you felt people should be taken care. So any one of those facts or incidents, if you want to share. So I just pause there.
Yeah, sure. So I think the sad thing about the pandemic is its global similarity in terms of impact, regardless of what economic status the organization, the country, or the person is, right? So it is all encompassing. So there's definitely similarities in the way it is, and I think few things which I have seen, which we have done, and which are there across organizations that we partner with, whether they are institutes, whether they are our co-partners in terms of delivery, etc. I think one of the things that they've done is to have a work group or a planning core leadership team, right?
Yeah.
So which is empowered, which is locally empowered as well. So I think each region has got its own local uniqueness in terms of the situation that they deal. But yes, they have common over-encompassing similarities as well. So while we have a global team, we make local HR, local leadership absolutely empowered to take calls in terms of what to do, whether it is about closing office, whether it is about opening the office, whether it is about flexible work from home, ensuring that, personal telemedical facilities are extended to people. So all of this has been local decisions that are there. As much as possible, if you have a global plan, yet a local approach, I think that makes a lot of sense. The
Right.
other thing has been that wherever we've come back to office, whenever we've had a chance to bring people back to office, it has been a phased approach, whether it has been in Singapore or China. Uh, we've done it in phases. Some teams have come, even those teams have staggered their presence in office, again, according to individual preferences, but they've come in phases, right? So they've not come all together, they've come in phases. What is critical to be in office, we've brought into office. The other one's been transportation. One of the things that the pandemic has taught us is that the spread has been through public transport. And, while in India it might sound as though it's not much of a concern, most of the regions that we work on, people travel using public transport, and that's been one key mode of the spread. I think the yeah, I think so just coming back, I think one of the important things which every organization has kept in mind is whenever they're having people come back to office, there are transportation alternatives, which include personal cabs, maybe, which they can pick, or if they need to come maybe biking to office, they've been given that office of time transportation at different phases, right? So you could come early in the office and leave in the middle of the day back home, etc. So I think keeping the transportation alternatives has been something which has been there. The other one which I found is important is to keep an ongoing monitoring response, right? Monitoring and response rather. Uh, it doesn't stop when you say that we're back to office. Now we don't need to monitor. I think it's got to be ongoing. It's got to have monitoring ways that are there. And the fourth most important thing, which I think we have learned, is about having frequent two-way communication, whether it is through surveys or whether we just saying it out that we're with you, right? I think those four things have been very, very common across wherever I've seen the spread of the pandemic is.
Sure. So thank you.
So
Thank
yeah,
you. No, I'm just slightly tweaking a bit. This is one of the last thoughts I need from you, Ganesh. So see, you are currently with a education startup, and I know your product is very interesting. In fact, I am literally looking forward to get one of my fancy MBAs from some good universities through you guys. In fact, I know Emeritus offers a lot of these online, and I can get one of the best degree, which could definitely, make me sharper and make me better in terms of my outlook. So being a startup, selling ed tech as your one of your best products. I know things could be slightly easy is what people would believe on the HR side. So my last thought, which I'm seeking from you, is that considering you're not wearing the role of a startup guy, but you're wearing a role of a generic person in the industry, what do you think could be one of the biggest challenge organizations are likely to face in this recovery period? In this tension of preparing to return to work, and for those who are saying, no, I'm okay with this new norm, I'm loving to work from home. As you see, there are brands such as Siemens and Google's who are saying nobody's going to come back before a mid of 2021 kind of a thing, Whereas there are organizations who are also saying that, yeah, let's prepare, as you rightly said, some bit of our folks come and work from home. So, what's the biggest challenge you feel the organization would face in general in
Um,
terms of the
so
recovery?
the most important thing I think that we've got to realize is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? So we, whether it is comfortable working from home or whether it's comfortable being in office, both are very very personal. Are getting uncomfortable with most of that, and that's the new norm. But the key to your question, Francis, is not to enforce, right? It is not for an organization to enforce and say that right now we all come back to work and start working, though with social distancing and all of that. There are a bunch of people or a large group of people who are probably uncomfortable with it. In fact, we've got team members who've been asking to come back to office, though we've actually, in fact, credit to everyone who's been a part of our team who's actually been spot on in terms of productivity and contribution, but they still think that coming back to office will add to the work they do and add to their comfort. But we erring on the side of caution, we erring on the side of safety. But like I said, it's got to be something which we need to carefully look at. We do need to communicate extremely well in terms of ensuring that every person's comfortable. The key thing is, though, not to enforce anything, whether it is enforcing coming back to office when it's when you possibly think it's, as an organization, think it's safe to be, or enforcing staying back at home when you think that okay, right, even though the world's become better and hopefully we have the vaccine, we say that okay, now we don't care about the vaccine, now we stay back at home. So there are people who are uncomfortable, and especially
Yeah.
in India where you have infrastructure challenges, etc. So this has got to be a nice balanced approach towards saying what's right, right? So I think that's important. The key challenge, though, is maintaining culture in spite of all of this. And like you said, we work with the best of institutions. Our goal is to bring or make world-class education accessible to everyone. So we also have a very, very big responsibility to the working community, to the executive community across the globe, to ensure that their time being at office or being away from work is actually good utilized as well. So there's no option of a breakage of service, if you may, in terms of our delivery. So all of this is a fine balancing act, and I'm glad though our team has been able to step up and do exceptionally well.
No, thank you, Ganesh. I think, as you rightly said, I'm going to take just two pieces. I've always believed if everybody could take just the two pointers as a message out of the session. So I like the communication piece which you said throughout your interaction with us today. And second is no enforcement. I think these two pieces are going to be really crucial for everybody to keep in watch on. So thank you. And I know back to office version 1.0 is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of experience for everybody in their own ways, how we face and deal with it. But I'm happy that professionals and experts like you are giving us some tips and advice. Really appreciate. Huge thanks, Ganesh, for spending your time, and wish you also a lot of luck for this journey of getting people back. But I'm sure with the strategies and the thoughts what you mentioned, it's going to be a smooth one for sure. And with that, thanks a lot, Ganesh. Really appreciate for your time today.
Thank you so much, Francis. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you hosting me. Thank you.
We meet soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.